Well, we're going to have to throw our weight around. It's amazing, my friends, and I've said this a million times. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record. However, these are the facts. Or this is the fact. When the Republicans are in control, numerically, they always act like they're in the minority. And when the Demcoms are in the minority, they always act like they are in control. I want to welcome in our next panelist. His name is Doug Truax. Doug is the founder and CEO of Restoration of America. Doug has authored an op-ed at Real Clear Politics. It's time to force a talking filibuster on national voter ID. Doug, welcome to Your News Talk America. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
I want to play two clips, audio clips. This one from Chuck Schumer. Actually, they're both from Chucky Schumer. And here is Chuck Schumer and what he accuses the Save America Act of being.
House Republicans are choosing to spend their time this week on federalizing Jim Crow. The SAVE Act is Jim Crow 2.0. It's the days of the Jim Crow South. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country.
Here's Chuck Schumer in 1996, sounding a lot different.
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law, but let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
All right, Doug Truax, your response to hearing Chuck Schumer 1996 and Chuck Schumer 2026. 30-year separation. What changed?
Well, I think they know full well that in order for them to truly win elections, they got to cheat. And, you know, I think that's part of, I mentioned this in the op-ed too, is that our big win in 24 was because all of us knew that there was a lot going on in the 2020 election and, you know, a lot needs to change. And so we did the voter file piece and we did all kinds of stuff. But these guys know that if we get it done, they got an uphill battle because still a center-right country. And if you can't get away with cheating in certain areas, they're not gonna be able to pull it off. So they're just gonna fight this tooth and nail, change their stories, call us whatever. And then the point you made earlier, I mean, they do act like they're in charge when they're not, and we tend to fall away because our guys get weak, and we got to remind them why they got elected in 24 and why this all happened. And I
don't think they care, Doug. Doug, I don't think they care. I don't think they care.
Well, certainly some guys do, but some guys don't. You know, and I think that I forget who put it out. There's a tweet the other day that. You know, you think about Ketanji Brown Jackson. She wouldn't say what a woman is, and they got her in.
She still can't say what a woman is.
They're right, and well, the Democrats got that done. You know, and so because to your point, they are awfully more committed to. Well, they don't have any morals, so they just want power, and they're super committed to gaining power. And then our guys are just like, they do the whole, well, let's be pragmatic, and their version of power is, you know, cushy jobs in D.C. and stuff like that. And so I think that it's time, it's well past time to make them, to push this as hard as we can. And that's the point I was making. Like, don't take any excuses. You know, there's like, everybody's got an opinion about Senate procedure. It doesn't matter. You just got to push them. It's got to keep going as long as it possibly can, because we can get this done. They just have to have the will to do it. And to your point, a lot of them don't, but we gotta give them a backbone, and it takes time. It takes time.
You say in your opinion piece, by the way, my friends, if you'd like to access Doug Truax's opinion piece at Real Clear Politics, there's a link to his op-ed. in my show notes for today, which is why it's very advantageous for you to sign on to the Dial community at realnewstalk.com. You say, make no mistake, this is the single most important bill before Congress in 2026. The Save America Act must reach President Trump's desk and become law, or we won't have a country left to defend.
Yeah, they're just out to get power, and they're globalists, atheists, Marxists, perfectly happy with tearing the country apart. And if we don't secure our elections, I mean, we run our elections still like a third world country. When you look at, like, on average across the country, how it works.
Yeah.
We don't look like a first world, very sophisticated country at all.
Nope.
And so we've got to get this done. And their willingness to fight us on it just proves how much they know that this is to their benefit to keep it as is, even in the face of it being an 80-20. I mean, even their own people, it's an 80-20. So I think that ironically, I think there's a lot of moderate Dems in the Senate in tricky places like Slotkin and some of these folks that are going to be getting a lot of questions from their folks. Like, well, are you don't want voter ID? I'm not clear, because there's still moderate Dems that want it for sure. And so it's going to make them, they're going to get more uncomfortable too going forward, in addition to our guys getting more uncomfortable. But that's why I say we got to keep pushing it and not give up, no matter what happens. We got to push.
I mean, it's really disgraceful from a Washington perspective for Senator Kennedy to talk about reconciliation, putting this bill up before reconciliation. I mean, if you can't get this bill to pass, where most Americans favor simple ID to either register, proof of citizenship to register, and voter ID when you go to the polls, if we can't get this through our both of our chambers, then the republic no longer exists. Would you agree, Doug?
Yes, I think it's that important, and said that in the op-ed. I think that the news cycle is so intense. I think it's difficult sometimes for moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats to know specifically what's going on that's important. And the longer this goes on, there's every day there's more moderate Republicans and more moderate Democrats who are saying, what is the problem? Why can't this get done? Because we all believe it should be the case. And the 20% that don't want it, I think they're just ignorant. I think time is on our side on this. I mean, I do feel bad for the people in the airports, and I think getting the ICE agents in there to try to help is a good call. And we got to try to fix as much as we can. But time is on our side, and the pressure builds, because if it's an 80-20 and it stays an 80-20, it's not going to change. We just got to push them. We got to keep pushing them to get it done no matter what. And the procedural, and if the filibuster, our guys have to sit in their seats and the other guys come and go. I don't know. Figure it out.
Tough, right?
You got these big jobs. You get paid. You got all the DC cocktail parties you go to and stuff. Figure it out. Do the thing. Do the thing you're supposed to do.
Perhaps we should start talking about the 17th Amendment, Doug. If there's any amendment to the United States Constitution that needs to be repealed, it's the 17th Amendment, sending the Senate back to the states where it belongs, where the founders intended it to be.
Right. So we're getting, it's getting much more, looking much more like the House of Representatives as we go forward. So I think that the more conversations we have about our founding and why it was what it was, and we have slipped so far to the left, even just like we're always talking here about morality. We're working on life stuff all the time and traditional marriage and everything. The place our country is from where it was, when the left got a hold and started moving things to the left back in the 60s to where we are now, it's just crazy. And so the time is now to have all the conversations we can about pushing things back to the right, no matter what it is, at least have the conversations and get people to think about it, because it's getting carried away in all places. So we got to get it back under control.
Doug, I need to take a break. When we come back, can we talk about mail-in voting and what some of the Supreme Court justices said yesterday about that? Because this really the Save America Act and mail-in voting, we're really talking about whether we have voter integrity in this country where people are confident in the voter process. And if you can send a mail-in ballot and it's 10 days late and it has to be counted, then why do we have Election Day? And that's what Justice Alito was talking about yesterday. So can we talk about mail-in balloting in just a moment when we come back?
Yeah, great.
All right. Thank you. Doug Truax, founder, CEO, Restoration of America, the author of the latest op-ed at Real Clear Politics, It's time to force a talking filibuster on national voter ID. The link to that outstanding opinion piece is in my show notes for today. Back with Doug Truax in just a moment on your News Talk America. Stay with us.
Well, tonight, justices on the U.S. Supreme Court are weighing arguments heard earlier today over whether federal law requires mail-in ballots to be received by Election Day in order to count. We get details tonight from Fox News chief legal correspondent, anchor at Fox News Sunday, Shannon Bream.
In the midst of a heated midterm election cycle, the justices are wrestling with a question about whether states can count ballots received after Election Day in a case that could have an impact in nearly 30 states that allow some kind of grace period. The RNC is challenging a Mississippi law that allows ballots to be counted up to 5 business days after Election Day if they're postmarked by Election Day. Justice Alito was among the biggest skeptics during Monday's arguments.
Independence Day, birthday, and Election Day, and they're all particular days. So if we start with that, if I have nothing more to look at than the phrase Election Day, I think this is the day in which everything is going to take place.
But Justice Kagan questioned the impact of that logic on practices like early voting.
It seems to me it's a rule that prevents early voting, because you're basically saying there are 2 things that have to happen, and they have to happen on Election Day.
Well, Justice Kagan, it's all about Election Day, which means the results should be processed and completed by Election Day. That is the big question. And I think that's the question before the High Court right now. Let's talk further on with our guest. We're very pleased to have him back with us, Doug Truax. Doug, what were your thoughts about what you heard Justice Alito say yesterday? To me, that was a breath of fresh air, no?
Oh, absolutely. And I think this goes back to how upset we all got in 2020 when everything went sideways and there were ballots floating around everywhere. And I think that Alito, what he's mainly getting at to me, is this concept of how much are we going to trust the United States Postal Service? I mean, give me a break. Right? I mean, it's just like, come on, that's just not fair to those of us who are like, serious, we're going to put our ballot in, go on Election Day or whatever, or maybe you are going to go early, but you say to yourself, or you got an absentee ballot and you got to get it in, and you go, okay, well, I got to get this in, I got to make sure it arrives, I'm going to be careful with this, I'm going to get it done so that it arrives 3 days before the Election Day. Right. But this whole concept that they leave it wide open, and so it's like, well, let's see, what did the post office misdeliver? Where did this show up? And you could have, we think about presidentials and stuff like that, but it's not fair to like the lower end candidates.
Oh, and those are just as important. Those races are just as important to the nation. Yeah. And now the post office they're not stamping the ballots or letters or anything when they get them, when they get processed through the facilities, the postal processing centers, that's when they're getting stamped. So do they hold them back and then somebody say, hey, those are Trump ballots. Let's not process these.
That's right. That's right. We're trusting the postal system way too much as like some kind of like, really important cog in our election system. I mean, this whole concept, like Nevada has like just nationwide mail ballots. It's just like, it's so difficult to comprehend that they just let it all wash out there. And then the amount of fraud that can happen, it can go off the charts, but it also in these smaller races, these guys, if you got no morals and you don't care, you're going to be like, okay, how can we game this system? Because man, there's ballots everywhere and let's figure this out. And I got buddies at the postal system and we're going to do this and that. And just like what you said. So I just think it's just, Americans don't want that. I think this is going to be another 80-20 piece where it's like, this is getting out of control. The convenience that we're all trying to build into this is politicians trying to build in. Well, we want to make it easy. What are they, easy to vote, hard to cheat. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Easy to vote, easy to cheat. Right? It's what's beginning to happen here. And we just got to call it what it is and dial the whole thing back. And it looks like it's going to happen. I hope, with the Supreme Court, they're going to strike that thing down from Mississippi. So.
Now, the situation in California, we've actually seen evidence that voter registrations are being sold. People are being paid cash to register to vote in California who may not even be eligible to vote. In other words, those who may not be here legally. If we do not get the Save America Act, we might as well roll up the carpets now and get rid of them, because the nation's finished. I mean, if we cannot verify that our elections are on the up and up, Doug, we might as well just pack it in.
Yeah, and I think that Biden, he was such a hardcore partisan. He just said, I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure we get as many illegals in the country as we can, because that's our power going forward. And they pulled it off. I mean, we're doing deportations and stuff, but there's probably, I still think there's like 25, 30 million people here.
Oh, there's no question. No, it'll take a lifetime to get them out of the country.
Right.
There's no question. And they were flying them around the country in the middle of the night. Right. When airports were closed. I mean, that just shows you what kind of operation it was, Doug, right?
That's right. So they're out there. And so I think in their minds, if they can avoid this SAVE Act being passed, and then just over time chipping away at, okay, we got all these illegals, how do we now get them registered and everything else, they will win this game they've been trying to win. And this is where it comes down to, do you care about your kids and your grandkids or not? Because I mean, it's going to get uglier going forward if this doesn't get done, obviously, but at some point it's going to collapse, because you can't have the situation we've got with all these illegals. You have one party trying to co-opt them, and then they have a way to do it over time. And so we just have to call it what it is, and we've got to fight it out right now. My
friends, I strongly urge you to go onto my show notes at realnewstalk.com, and you'll see the link to realclearpolitics.com. And Doug Truax op-ed is there. The link to it is there. Click on it and pay close attention, because if we, the people, do not force Congress to act on our behalf for the Save America Act, we're done. I mean, there's just no way this country is going to survive. The republic will survive. Some country will emerge. The vacuum that's created will bring forth the Marxist socialist utopia that the Demcoms want. But if we don't act now, if the people don't act, we the people, well, then our future has been set in stone, and there's no going back.
Yeah, and you gotta call your senators right now. You gotta call them. And
unfortunately, where I'm broadcasting from in communist Delaware, our two senators are morons. So there's not much use calling them. They're both useless. And unfortunately, that's one of the problems. But you know what? There always is the 17th Amendment. We can take up that cause and repeal the 17th Amendment and return the United States Senate to the states where our founders had intended, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Doug,
there was intent there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and good work with respect to that opinion piece. And I hope we get you back on. How can we find out more about Restoration of America?
Yeah, it's all over socials. restorationamerica.com is our website. We got all kinds of content out there. But yeah, check it out. And we're going to be doing a lot more advertising going forward to make sure people feel as much pressure in the Senate as possible. So more to come on this, big time.
Doug, you're welcome on this program anytime to get the message out. Just letting you know.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.